It's Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
I don't know who he is, but we are live. And yes, it is definitely Sunday. What is he doing? I don't know. But we have an exciting show for you today because we are going to be talking about the difference between being a traveler and a tourist. And as African Americans, we need to be travelers.
It's a big difference, y'all.
Not tourists. And we're going to tell you why. And we're going to tell you why it is significant, especially in this geopolitical atmosphere.
Yeah.
Right? Right. So, because, I mean,
well, it's like how we try to tell the family, the kids, how important it is to have a passport.
right?
To have that blue passport in your hand and make sure that it's not expired, but get one because you want to be able to travel the world to learn and see, you know, different type of people, different type of heritages, different type of, just become more of a worldly person to understand because everything ain't the same as it is
No,
in
no,
the United States.
nope, it's not. It's not.
And the only way you can learn it is you can learn so much from books, but there's nothing like being there.
Exactly. Exactly. And unfortunately, one of the communities with the lowest passport holder per capita is the African American South.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Right? And if history is any indicator, y'all, you know what I'm going to say. When they start making policies, they are going to make policies that seem innocuous, that seem to be milk toast or whatever have you. But I'm telling you, they are going to purposely overly affect people of color, African American communities. So we are going to be one of the first groups that are going to be restricted from getting that passport or getting that passport renewed.
Yeah, I guess, well, go on.
No, that's all I was going to say.
I was going to say, I guess travel is a privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why taking it for granted, not surprised, since nearly half of the American public doesn't have a passport.
Half of Americans do not own a passport. And then we wonder why the American political system is the way it is. It is because we have bought into the idea that America is the best country on earth. We have bought into the idea that every place else is dangerous. We have bought into the idea that America is that shining city on the hill, right? With absolutely no research to back that stuff up. Right? What was that? That's like I was like, I ain't got facts to back this up, but right?
So what was that chick flick that we watched a ways back? And it was something they said something. It made a whole lot of sense.
Right. Okay. So I'm paraphrasing now. I know what you're talking about. I'm paraphrasing, but what they said was tourists are people who are trying to escape life.
That's it.
But travelers are folks who are trying to experience life. Oh, you didn't hear me. Tourists are trying to escape life. And travelers are trying to experience life. And when we think about how Americans do travel, I mean, they basically they get a tour guide, they do on the tours, or they do a cruise or something like that. They don't, venture off the beaten path. But for the most part, what I have seen is folks getting like spring break drunk. Right? Doing the most, trying to do everything in a short amount of time. Right? And then they have to come back. Then they have to come back to reality, right? And so I think, if you do that, if you're just a tourist, then you don't get to experience the whole part of life. So I think we need to talk about
Yeah,
this.
we need to talk about it and talk about why it's important as human beings and why it's important that, for the planet.
Right. Because if you're trying to escape life, then you probably don't understand how America has effed you up.
There's an onion.
But when you travel and you experience life through someone else's eyes, you get enlightened and you look at the world through a different lens, right? And so we're talking about travel. We're not talking about moving abroad. Y'all know we live in Portugal. We are living our best lives, but we are not talking about living outside of America per se. What we are talking about is travel that is responsible, travel that actually adds to life and is not just something that then becomes another expense.
Yeah.
Right?
So we think we should introduce ourselves?
Hey y'all, my name's Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about money, we talk about travel, we talk about retiring abroad. We help folks who look like us. We're getting close to retirement age and forgot to plan, get their money straight so that they can retire on time or maybe even early. So what exactly are we talking about today?
So, we're talking about being a traveler or a tourist and, why be a traveler instead of a tourist?
Exactly. But first, if you're new to our channel, then you might not know. About 8 years ago, Rick and I got a wake-up call. I want to say 2017, 2018, somewhere in there, right? We got a wake-up call. We had a meeting with a financial planner. And they looked at our finances and illuminated some stuff for us, right? We looked at our money and it looked crazy, right?
Crazy.
But about 3.5, 4 years ago, we got our financial act together and we went from negative 22,000 to over 1.1 million in net worth. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe. Over half of y'all who are watching are not yet subscribed. Why is that?
Subscribe, y'all.
I want to know why. Why you ain't subscribed? You got commitment issues? What we doing? What we doing here?
Commitment issues.
Hit that like button and that notification bell so that you know every single time that we go live or drop a new video. All right. So we are going to say hello to the folks who are in the chat, but we're first going to get to number one. As a matter of fact, let's just read off the first seven, the 7 steps to becoming a traveler as opposed to a tourist, and then we'll go back and fill in the blanks, right?
Okay.
All right. So number 1,
connecting with heritage and history.
Number 2,
creating and supporting community.
Number 3,
personal safety and comfort.
Number 4,
combating stereotypes and misconceptions.
Number 5,
empowering through knowledge.
Exactly. Number 6,
promoting positive representation of travel.
I talked to y'all about how my African friends thought that we were all boys in the hood. Okay, so promoting positive representation. Number 7, and the last one is
enhanced travel experience.
Okay, so you got it. If that's all you wanted, you can tune out. But we are going to fill in the blanks there. But first, let's say hello to who is in the chat today. We've got Dee McCrae, who was in here early.
Hello.
Hey, Dee, how you doing? Ronald, hey, hello. Do I have to do anything special to connect to the live chat? You're in the live chat.
You're in it.
You're in it. So
you're on screen.
Exactly. You have to be subscribed. I think you have to be subscribed. I try to do that so that the trolls don't get in. But otherwise, that's all you have to do. And sometimes it doesn't work well on Facebook or LinkedIn. Hey, Jametta, good to see you. Ballerina's in the house. Hello. So Panther Man. Hey there. Action VJ. It's June. It's meetup month.
Yes.
Y'all, Juneteenth is coming up. Black in Portugal Facebook group has a Juneteenth celebration. But if you are going to be in Portugal in June and you're not doing our meetup, why? We still have, well, we sold out of the boat excursion. Action BJ is going to be there. If y'all ain't going to be there, I'm sorry. But the reception, the freedom celebration on the 17th, and we're going to talk about where we are having that later on in the video, is still available. Information is in the description below. Hit that like button and let's celebrate June.
And y'all know y'all want to know who Action BJ is. You know you want to meet him. He's a celebrity.
He's a celebrity. He's an OBU celebrity.
He's an OBU celebrity.
If nothing else, right? Hey, Tanya, good to see you. All right. Shanora is in the house. Hey, Winnie. It's back. Hey. We're glad to see you in the chat. Diane is back. Regina. Hey, good afternoon. Greetings from Oklahoma. Let us know if you're...
Oklahoma. That's the only part I know.
That's the only part. Okay, so he went musical comedy on me. I don't know. But if you're watching from the future, hey there, let us know in the chat below where you are logging in from. And if you are in the chat now, let us know where you're logging in from. Hey, she ain't saying. Are you still here? You still here? You still here, bro? You still here? All right. Inquiring minds want to know. Hey, Vicky.
Hey, Vicky.
Good to see you. Hey, Stephen is in the house logging in from Cali. James H is in the house. I'm not sure if that's a new name because you don't have an icon, so it's a little bit hard. And James is a pretty common name, but welcome. We're glad you're here. Hey, KB. Hey, KB. Good to see you. Joyful One. That seems like a new name. Hello, welcome. Hey, TJ Hill is back. Yes, and Juneteenth is soon. We do celebrate it here. Yes, we do. And this is one of the things that makes Portugal so special. It is actually the immigrant community and the Black English-speaking immigrant community that makes it so special. Say hey L in X and C, aka sexy LX. That's what she said. Hey, the ABX girl. Hey, Laura, good to see you. Jeanette and Kiva. Professor is in the house.
Killer Queen.
She is in the house. Hello, I'm actually both a tourist and a world traveler. We're going to talk about that because I don't want you to think that you should not, could not, would not do touristy things. The difference is the approach. How do you approach it and what are your expectations, right? So Greta is in the house. Hey, Greta. And I create my path. Hello from Merida. Ooh, how hot is it there?
Still hot.
Lord, look. We love Mexico. Y'all know that we have permanent residency in Mexico. If you need help moving to Mexico, we are doing some kind of summit. I don't know what that's going to look like right now.
And if you need to go over to Cortez's house because he got swimming pool. Tell him I sent you.
Does he still have a swimming pool?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, Yolanda. Pinky's in the house. Life with Sister Spice is in the house. Hey, Krishan. Hola, pasoas. So for all of you who are wanting to move to Portugal, Krishan, Rick, and I are partnering again to do a Move to Portugal Virtual Summit 2024. If you want to see the replays from 2023, you can get that in the description below if you're moving soon. But if you want to know what the latest is and what will be put into effect for 2025, you probably want to get on our wait list. That information is in the description below so that you can get the early bird pricing and all of that. So Chanel's in the house. Hey, Ra, good to see you. We see Dion, Yakota. I love it. QM, Loretta, Yoga Bliss, Dance. Yoga Bliss, I think I saw you either in Think Media or StreamYard. I'm like, hey, she's one of us.
What's it?
She's one
We
of
were
us.
watching Think Media the other day.
And so it was Think
It was
Media.
Think Media.
It's Think Media. All right. So I Create My Path has already come up with a question. If you've got a question or a comment that you would like to see on screen, you know what to do. Put a Q in front of and I'm going to go ahead. Where is she? Where did it go? Go ahead and put a Q in front of your statement and we will start and we will get to it. So with that, let's go ahead and get started because we got a lot to go over, right?
Okay.
All right. So we said that number one,
Connecting with heritage and history.
right. So heritage and history. When we think of this, we often think about either where we're going to go in America, right? We're going to go to the Civil Rights Museum in Washington, D.C., or we're going to, like when we had our family reunion, we actually sought out the plantation in which our ancestors came from. And all of that is good. All of that is good because we do often seek out a connection with our heritage and our culture and what that looks like in the diaspora as a whole. So when we look at that as it looks in the diaspora as a whole regarding whether it's slavery or otherwise, right? Um, we are profoundly changed by what we learn as we travel the world. It does not look the same in the rest of the world as it looks in the United States. It can be educational, it can be emotionally significant, right? And so it fosters a stronger sense of who we are and who we are in the world. And I'm going to tell you, you know, it's interesting because so many people, too many people, were talking about why are you moving to Portugal? They are the ones who started the Atlantic slave trade, right? And we hear that we still hear this in the comments today, y'all. We still hear this in the comments today. But the African diaspora, the community that is here, whether it is English speaking or not, is huge here in Portugal. It is huge. And it is interesting. And the way those who are not from America view the world and their place in the world as folks from the African diaspora is significantly different from the way we view ourselves. They do not move through the world in the same way that we do. And so it has forced me to change the way that I view us as in people from the diaspora, from the African diaspora in the world, right? It's changed the way that I view how we walk through the world, how we look in the world, how we should view our place in the world. Because I had a very, very narrow focus coming from the United States. So we seek to understand existing culture to better understand why the world is the way it is. That's what we do as Black travelers. But Black tourists.
Yeah, you typically focus on leisure and popular attractions. You know, you got to go and make sure you go to France. You got to see the Eiffel Tower.
Well, yeah.
You got to go to the Louvre.
Well, we look, we can be Beyonce and Jay-Z all the time shooting videos in the Louvre. And we should do that, right? And take our IG pictures in front of the Eiffel Tower. Yeah. However,
you got to have that because
But if you're really seeking adventure, if you're really seeking to understand, then you realize that the person who built the Eiffel Tower also built a lot of other stuff that are a lot of other places.
True.
Like Girona. Right. Yeah, and like here.
Right.
And like here, right? Right. So it's okay to do that, but that shouldn't be the only thing.
Yeah, it might not provide the same depth of cultural and historical engagement
that we expect, that we should expect, or we should want to. Look, travel is about education. It really is. And if I remember in fifth grade, in California in fifth grade, you learned all of the states of the United States and you learned the capitals.
I learned a song about California. You want to hear it?
No. Here you go. No, I don't want to hear it. But the capitals and the states. Now, my 10-year-old fifth grade brain pictured, even though there were globes in every single classroom,
Yeah.
but I pictured the globe as being covered by the United States. I knew because, my daddy is Malcolm X and my mama's Sister Soldier, right? You know that. So I knew there was an Africa and I knew that there was a Europe and I kind of knew there was some Asia or something like that. But in my mind, because of how they educate us in the United States took up like two-thirds of the globe. And then there was Africa in there. And then I kind of forgot about the rest of the people. That's what happens. That's what happens when you are born and raised in the United States. And I know you guys have seen those videos of when did you learn when the United States effed you up? All right. So number 2, and then we will get to some comments and questions.
Creating and supporting community.
Engaging in local Black communities and supporting Black-owned businesses can foster a solidarity across country lines, right? We create mutual support, and this helps uplift the local community as well as those businesses and everything else. Look, our meetup is at a Black-owned business. Last night we had dinner with a bunch of people at Soul Kitchen and Bar. That's where our the Freedom Celebration is going to be. That food
is so good,
right?
I'm still trying to get him, Fernando, that is, to give me his recipe.
Fernando is his name. He is Black. His name is Fernando. Well, his name is Ricardo. but his name is Fernando. He is Black. He is Portuguese, originally from, or his people are from Angola, right? And so our notion of what Black is supposed to look like has to change. But one of the things that I love about the community here is we keep a list of all of the businesses that are run by people who look like us, regardless of whether they are English speaking or not. And we make sure that we support those businesses before we go to other ones. Look, this is what we do.
Yeah.
This is what we do. And if they don't have the habit of doing that in their country, here we come.
Yeah.
Here we come. We about to stand up for you.
Yeah.
Because it's us.
Exactly.
We're standing up for us. As opposed to,
if you're a tourist, you usually miss out on that kind of stuff. You usually miss opportunities to support the local Black communities or local communities, period. Because you go to all the places that, not TripAdvisor, so to speak. What's the other one? Yelp. Whoever tells you
TripAdvisors, Airbnb experiences, etc.
Or you even go worse than that. You look for the American establishments, being it Pizza Hut, being it Kentucky Fried Chicken.
We got Kentucky Fried Chicken. Wait, what's that other pizza place that's also in Mexico that everybody loves? Pizza.
That's
y'all
Pizza
know.
Hut.
That's not Pizza Hut.
Oh,
Caesars.
Little
Caesars.
Yeah. So you'll spend time seeking those things out because I don't know. And granted, the food probably at those establishments are better than what you get in the United States because they can't put all that stuff in the food over here. So, and I haven't eaten there, but I've asked people and they say, the food tastes different. It tastes better.
Yeah, exactly.
But you miss that, by if you're doing the tourist thing and sticking to the tourist schedule and the tourist places, you miss those little mom and pop. Oh my God, the place, and you brought up the name yesterday when we were talking about where we had the beans and
What, the Brazilian restaurant?
No, the African restaurant.
Tamburina.
Oh my God.
Oh yes. Tamburina, another Black-owned restaurant that is in the city center in the historic district of Lisbon. Yeah, it's African. Is it Cabo Verde? Is it Cape Verde?
I think it's Cape Verde.
Okay, it's African food, y'all. and it tastes like my grandmama, my Louisiana grandmama, spent some time in Jamaica and then came back home and made comfort food. That food is so good.
We tried to hold on to that and eat up on it, like at least get 3 meals out of it, at least,
Right.
But it's
It is. So we've got the window open. If you hear folks yelling and laughing in the background, let us know. We're going to go through and see what questions you have. So, number one, connecting with heritage and history. Travelers connect with heritage and history, tourists do not. Number two, creating and supporting community, local community, right? Travelers support local community, tourists don't. Personal safety and comfort. Travelers make sure that they do the research so that they are comfortable, they feel safe. Tourists don't, or they rely on a tour guide. All right. And then we'll get to 4 through 7. All right. Can you close that there? Look, I love the fact that our neighbors are always laughing, and at least they're laughing and not fighting.
Yeah, not yelling and screaming and busting each other out.
I remember during that Cretan's time in office, he temporarily prevented us from leaving the country, right? I was livid and shocked. America has been guilty of plenty, but that's terrorism, forced to stay.
Yeah.
I just learned what this Project 2025 is, y'all. Because I'm in Portugal. I ain't paying attention to that nonsense. We've got our ballots. We need to vote before Tuesday in Colorado. But other than that, I'm not interested. We see that he had 37 counts.
34.
34, 37,
and
whatever.
He got convicted on all 34.
But if we had one count, right? But he's got 34 counts, and he's still on the ballot in all 54 states.
Something's wrong with that picture.
Believe folks when they say what they're going to do. Believe them. There is a reason why we got permanent residency in Mexico and residency in Portugal, because I don't know what they're going to do. But what I do know is that historically, what they have done is taken away rights. And since the 1950s or 60s to today, they take away rights primarily for poor folk and folks who have melanin. That's what they do. But they couch it in this innocuous language. And then they say, well, there's no racism here, right? What did Trevor say? They go, oh, yeah, you can't get that loan, right? You can't get that passport. Well, And then when you say it's racism, they say you're crazy. We're not crazy. We know what it is. If you don't have your passport, why not? If you think we're being hyperbolic, okay.
What's it going to hurt
Look,
to have it?
all I have to say is we'll see how that works out for you. He's nicer than I am. He's the one you want to talk to. You're like, why not? I'm like, look, don't get it then.
Spend the money.
Don't get it. Don't get it.
It's a 10-year investment. You'll be good to go.
Don't get it. And we'll see how that works out for you. We'll see how that works out for you. I call myself a tourist when I go somewhere to relax rather than experience real life, like visiting family. Yeah. Family is not a vacation in my world. Mm-hmm. I guess by their definition, I'm a traveler with tourist tendencies. I think we all have tourist tendencies, right? I'm not saying don't go to the Louvre. We're not saying don't go see the Eiffel Tower and don't get those IG pictures.
No, not at all.
It's not that. It's not that. It's how you conduct yourself in the world and what your purpose is, right? So we'll get to some of that. And then, you'll see where we're coming from. This topic may be my speed or flow. Tell me more, CK. Tell me more. All right. Y'all ain't got no questions. Y'all ain't. Oh, here we go, Steve. You know, and if I missed you, like if you see that this one is after what you put up, post it again, babes. I'm trying to look quickly because I don't want to have a lot of quote unquote dead air. Thank you. See, I almost missed that one. I don't want to have a lot of dead air, so I'm not going to. I scroll fast and I'm looking for those cues. I'm looking for those cues. All right, so we will go with these that we have so far. Are you guys planning to make T-shirts for sale outside of the meetup? Oh, Stephen, you are so off topic, but that's okay. What do you guys think? We have been talking about merch off and on for the past year, haven't we?
Yeah.
And Rick always says, but we are minimalists. Why are we asking people to buy stuff? And yet people need shirts. And why not have a shirt that has some message on it or something on it that you like? We have our Black Utopia shirts, right?
Yeah, true.
And so, what do you guys think? Do you think that we should create merchandise that you can order on demand or not? Stephen obviously thinks yes. Yes, we are doing T-shirts for the meetup. Unfortunately, if you have not already ordered, it is too late. But it's not too late to come. So you can still come and enjoy the festivities at the Freedom Celebration.
Yeah, and on the thing with the merchandise, think about it. Give us your thoughts on it and what type.
What do you want?
What do you want? Myself, I'm a cat person. So
any surprise there? Any surprise there? I create my path. Hello. It hurts my heart every time I hear a Black person say, well, that's not for us. We don't do that. I thought we don't move abroad unless we are, James Baldwin or something like that. Like, artistic, influential Black people. Entertainers move abroad. Rich people move abroad. Normal people move abroad. And normal people move abroad and their job hasn't sent them. Really? That's a thing? Yeah. You could do that?
It truly is.
I know.
It truly is, and yes, you can.
I know. I didn't know. I didn't know until we knew, and once we knew, we did the damn thing, and we want you to join us. Not necessarily in Portugal. Portugal is not for everyone, but wherever your happy place is, let us help you get there. All right. And LXNC, Sexy LX, Alicia, I'm here. LOL. Okay. I love it. I love it. Girl, you hear me. I had a massage today. This is communal Sunday. First Sunday, I get massages. We go to the spa, me and the girls, and I just had a relaxing day. So it was very, very, very lovely. Yep. Join Think Media's program on growing YouTube, right? Are you in that? So I'm not in their program, but I did tune in to their, I don't even think I saw them live. I think it was a replay and I just saw you in the chat. And I was like, wait a minute. So Yoga Bliss, let us know. Is that the name of your channel? Is the name of your channel Yoga Bliss? Let us know. And if you want to get in shape, look, I need to get in shape. And if I can mix dance with yoga, I'm all in. What is Project 25? It's not Project 25, it's Project 2025. If somebody, I don't know. I only know what people have told me. So if someone else here in the chat has a better answer than what I have said Project 2025 is, and I don't know that I really, really said it. I kind of hinted around to it. So what I heard was if 45 gets reelected and they are in charge, they are going to get rid of
Department of Education.
Department of Justice. Yep, Department of Justice.
What else?
And some other stuff.
Yeah, some other important American institutions. They want to get rid of all that. It's the GOP thing.
Now, we talked to y'all about why Black America was in trouble and to stop lying to yourself. And we read off what the signs of tyranny looked like. And one of the things was protecting our institutions, because we always say we have checks and balances. We have checks and balances in the United States, but we are the checks and balances. And so to me, Project 2025 is one of the efforts to get rid of the checks and balances. That's what it sounds like to me from what I've heard. Now, have I read anything? No, I'm just going by what my friends have told me. That's what I'm going by. So if any of you can tell me more or tell us more, let us know, because it feels like America is out of control, and that people are not paying attention and thinking this is business as usual. And this next election that's coming up in November is not business as usual. So Karen Louise says, yep, Project 25 is for real. If Biden wins, these people want to dismantle democracy here forever. They want us to be Russia, Venezuela, North Korea, etc. Get ready for those of us who are in. Look, true. My Spanish tutor who was on this channel lives in Venezuela. They have, it's not autocratic socialism. He's calling it socialism. But from what she explains, to me, it sounds more like communism. Because everything is controlled by the government. Everything is controlled by the government. So whether you are a doctor or you are a college professor or you work in the corner store, there's not a huge gap between what you make. Now, in the United States, there wasn't a huge gap between what those folks made either, but that was for different reasons, right? That was for different reasons. So Delia says in Project 2025, there's a 900-page plan, because them folks, they plan long term. 900-page plan to explain how they will replace career civil servants. With people loyal to them. Okay, so here we go. They literally spell out how they're going to do it. They want to replace career civil servants. Now that sounds innocuous enough. All of this bureaucracy, maybe we would be better off if some of this stuff was privately owned.
Having one person tell us all what to do and how to do it.
That part. Also, what they know is that the only entity right now in the United States that follows the rules as far as non-discrimination is the government. It is not by surprise that African Americans are overrepresented in government jobs. Just like we were overrepresented in the education system for those who taught kids who looked like us. So when Brown versus Board of Education went through and they dismantled, it seemed like a good thing. But what had happened was all of those Black teachers, male and female, that made up the middle class, lost their jobs. From that, we went from working for the school districts to working for county, state, and federal governments. And we were overrepresented and are overrepresented in those jobs. So we're only 14% of the population in the United States, but we are more than that when it comes to government jobs. It's interesting to me that one side always is trying to get rid of them government jobs. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is? Is it because we don't tend to vote for them? I don't know. I'm just wondering. Inquiring minds want to know. What was true yesterday will not necessarily be true tomorrow. And so, Californians here, hey there, they never taught us that The state was named after Queen Khalifa.
Khalifa, yeah.
Yes, Calafia, actually, a Black Amazonian queen. Yes, 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 yes. Queen Calafia. I used to do a presentation on that. So if you don't know, now you know. There is a little bit of a monument to her in Disneyland, and apparently she was not real. She was mythological. However, regardless of whether she was mythological or real, she was a Black woman and a powerful Black woman. And yes, that is where California came from, apparently. So yeah, no, they're not going to teach us. Regardless, they're not going to teach us that. They're not going to teach us that. And so, in order for us to be the human beings that we are meant to be on this planet, it is important for us to travel, and to travel in a way that seeks understanding, not just to escape. All right, not just to escape. Perhaps Black folks will get priority to leave the country under the felon president. Yeah, nah, because they've got to have a slave class. They've got to have a slave class. And who's going to do that? Right? Who's going to do that? POCs. I hear a lot of us saying the US is our home. We built this country. We built it. They ain't going to drive us out. I'm not leaving to live anywhere else internationally. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, if that's what they want to do, they got to do what makes them happy. But enough was enough for me.
Okay.
I ain't mad at you if you want to stay. I'm not mad at you.
No. I'm sad for you because, yes, we built it, but no, we do not have full citizen rights, which is why every 25 years they have to redo our right to vote. And as we speak, they are dismantling, right, the amendment that gave us the right to vote. Well, not gave us the right to vote. The Constitution gave us the right to vote, but it wasn't happening in practice, right? And so the amendment that the Voting Rights Act that said that they have to do X, Y, and Z. And oh, by the way, if you historically have acted in a manner unbefitting of who we are as this greatest nation on earth, then you will have to pass certain litmus tests until we say otherwise. And that law is up for renegotiation every 25 years. Well, in the past 5 years, it has been challenged in front of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has dismantled and taken basically all of the teeth out of the Voting Rights Act,
right.
Which means, depending upon where I live, I might not have easy access to the ballot. And that is by design, and is not happening in the white suburbs. It's not. It's happening where we live. And it's happening where we live because, by and large, we vote a certain way. And, if a person is good with that, if they are good with living their lives in a continuous fight, somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it. But I'm telling you who ain't going to do it. Me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I didn't break it. I don't have power in the United States. So any problems that the United States is facing, I did not cause, nor can I correct, because I have not been endowed with the power to correct it. And you probably haven't either. And yet, folks want to stay and fight. They want to fight for something that they do not own. They want to fight for something where the people who are in power will certainly accept their fight, but will not give them any privileges without struggle, right? Power concedes nothing without struggle. I am tired of struggling. And when we struggle, the people who die fastest are the people who struggle the most, which are people who look like us. So fighting for the United States is killing us. Please Google Project 25 and read it for yourself if that doesn't motivate you to get your finances in order. It says midlife money moves and get a passport. Nothing will. Give yourself options. At the very least, give yourself options, even if you don't agree, right? When you have to renew your US passport, will you have to travel back to the US? No.
No.
Mm-mm. As a matter of fact, it's going to be easier from here doing it through our embassy than it would be if we were back in the United States. Okay. Isn't one goal of marketing business to provide people what they're asking for, not necessarily what the provider producer wants? Just saying. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is referring to, Jazzy D, but yes. And so getting back to the merch, what y'all want? We haven't created anything because we have not seen that there is consensus on what y'all want. Are you saying, I think says that unemployment will rise via Project 25? Wow, this is around my retirement date.
Maybe not that quickly.
It's going to take a minute to dismantle these institutions. And when I say a minute, that doesn't mean 10 years. That means like a year or two. Something has to be done, like this, especially with the Department of Justice, because the Department of Education to me is a little bit superfluous if they're going to let state educational boards dictate what the criteria is in each state, right? And so then what is the federal? I know what they do, I know what they say they do, but they still seem superfluous. But the Department of Justice, no. The Department of Education, if they really did what, like, if they really used the teeth that they could have, then they would mandate that slavery not be taken out of the history books. If they can't mandate that, what's their purpose? If they can't mandate that there is a certain level of truth that must be in all curriculums, all public education curriculums, I don't care if they go. Like, I don't know. Adelia was a public school teacher. Chime in, baby. Chime in. I'd like to hear your opinion. I've never been a school teacher. My father was a public school teacher. I understand that there are state rights and that there are states that are trying to rewrite history. And it doesn't seem like the Department of Education has any jurisdiction to tell them otherwise. There is a project for every inaugural year from the right with points that the groups behind it want to change. Trump implemented roughly 60% of the recommendations made within the first year. 100% of the 99.9% of his recommendations were not in my best interest. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's get back to it. So, to reiterate, number 1, connecting with heritage and history. Number 2, creating and supporting community. Number 3, personal safety and comfort. We are talking about traveling, being a tourist versus a traveler. Number 4.
Did we do 3?
Yes, we did 3. We did 3 because we talked about Soul Kitchen.
We got another explanation. 4, combating stereotypes and misconceptions.
I have told you all that we have a huge African immigrant population in Colorado, huge, in Denver, considering it's Denver, right? And so one of my former colleagues / acquaintances, I'm not going to say friend, let me know that when he first moved to the United States, he thought all of us,
Raw.
all of we African Americans were boys in the
Boys in the
hood,
hood.
like carrying, West Side and all that stuff. That's what he thought. He legit thought that. And when he went, a mutual friend connected him with one of the Denver's black royalty. He was afraid to meet homeboy. It's like homeboy owns this, owns this, owns this, owns this, owns this. His wife does this and that, works for the mayor, blah, 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 whoop-de-woo. I don't know whether he knew that or not. All I know is he told me he was afraid to meet with him. So these are some of the misconceptions that folks have. And so by engaging deeply with diverse cultures and communities, African American travelers can challenge and dispel stereotypes, both in Africa and beyond. Don't tell me that they don't have stereotypes about African Americans in Africa, because they do.
They do.
Whether they think we're all rich, if we make it over to that continent, whether they think we're all rich or not, there are stereotypes, right? So
if we had talked to somebody whose in-law thought that told his wife not to marry him or him not to marry his wife because
all African American women are lazy. They're not going to be good mamas. They're not going to take care of you. And so what did she do? She went out of her way to work herself to a bone. So we can dispel stereotypes both about themselves and about ourselves as, we figure out our place on this planet. This can lead to more genuine and respectful cross-cultural experiences. I'm not sure what this is. Cancel. So once a person has experienced the world through another person's lens, look, you have a tendency to then question assumptions and question the things that you see in your own country, as opposed to tourists.
Tourists may inadvertently reinforce stereotypes. By engaging superficially with destinations and relying on preconceived notions or media portrayals.
So that reminds me of when we were at the taco spot.
Yeah.
And Karen walks in. And she is spring break drunk. And she's with her boyfriend. They were already there, actually. They were already there. And we go and we sit down at our table. We order our food. We go sit down at our table. Maybe some of us have already received our food or whatever. We turn around and home chick is like, I want some cheese. And she's loud, y'all. She's loud up in our tacos, but I want some cheese. These are street tacos. They don't have cheese. That's not the way they're made. They're made with meat, a tortilla. The birria has the juice stuff, right? Maybe some cilantro and onions or something like that, a little bit of pico de gallo or whatever. What it doesn't have is cheese. And what's that ugly lettuce that they have in the United States? Kind of like a cabbage. It has absolutely no nutritional value. I don't know.
Iceberg lettuce.
Iceberg lettuce. That's what it don't have. All right. No iceberg lettuce, no cheddar cheese with yellow dye number 5 or whatever it has in it. Right. These are street tacos. Like she has them cheese. They have cheese because they make a quesadilla. This is Portugal. They don't speak English. What you yelling at? What you like? Oh, but if I say it louder, then you'll understand. Gee, I'll pay for it. And she's literally doing that, like throwing fake money in the air and stuff like, I'll pay for it. These are reinforced. Well, she's a stereotype, but it's a true stereotype. Because I wanted to film it. You wouldn't let me.
No.
He wouldn't let me film it, y'all. He wouldn't let me film. And here's the thing: the people who work in the restaurant, they're in the tourist area. They understand English. at least the basic English, transactional English. They know English. I've spoken to her in English. I know. But she looked at her and she said, Keju? Huh? Huh? Keju? Cheese. Is that not what she said?
That's what she said.
That's what she said. That's what she said. So she was definitely reinforcing stereotypes and being the typical tourist, which means no respect for the local culture, no respect for the local language, not even trying to understand and to be understood by the people who are there trying to help her get her food.
She felt she had privilege.
Right?
And demanded.
Exactly.
Did she get her cheese?
She ain't got her cheese yet because her boyfriend came in and said, you acting like an asshole. And then what did she do?
Y'all know what she did.
Y'all know what she did? She created them Karen tears.
Lord have you know, all we could do was laugh.
She created them Karen tears. I was like, whatever. No, she's not. No, she's not crying right now. All right. So number 4, combating stereotypes and misconceptions. Sometimes stereotypes are right, but they're not right about all people. They're right about all Karens, but they're certainly not right about all white folks, right? We've got plenty of white folks here, even from America, that are cool folks. But y'all. All right. Number 5, empowerment through knowledge, right? Here's the thing, like even from our first trip, when we went to South Africa, when we went to South Africa, and I didn't even really understand the difference between a traveler and a tourist. But one of the things that we did, we stayed in somebody's backyard in their guest house. So we lived in a local neighborhood. Now, everyone else was either going to stay in a hotel or stay on the campus. And I was like, no, I want to experience what it feels like to actually live in South Africa, in in the city that we were in South Africa. And so we seek out gaining a deeper understanding of not only the local culture, but Black history and contemporary issues facing the African diaspora. Now, obviously, in South Africa, that is not the diaspora. The white folks are the diaspora, but it was very important for us to understand what their experiences were. It's very easy to say, well, why ain't you guys got this? And why you still doing that? And why haven't you done that? Without understanding what their history is. And so prior to going, we did some research on the history that we thought we knew, but we didn't know as well as we thought we knew, nor as in depth as we thought we knew, right? So we did some research, and then we talked to local folks, right? We walked through a couple of townships, not on a tour. We don't do poverty tours, right? Black folks do not do poverty tours through areas where people of color are living in desperation. But what we can do, right? I mean, if it's putting money in someone's hand and the whole community is in on it, we can give a local tour guide the money, who lives in the community, respects the community, the money to then walk us around. But instead of, they didn't have that in the township that we were in, but they do have that in some of the Black communities here, where there are local folks guiding us through our own neighborhoods. There, we walked around with folks who are now friends.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the experiences in South Africa and the townships and stuff like that is we had the opportunity to teach young people in the townships.
That too.
Because we had our camera equipment and stuff, and of course they're curious, and we taught them we handed it over to them, taught them how to use it, and they just followed us around and filmed. Yeah. And they had a great time.
Yeah.
They had a great time. So there was a learning opportunity, learning from them and them learning from us also.
Exactly. And so we spent time in people's homes.
Yeah.
We sat down. We had that nasty rice drink.
Hey, you didn't have it, I did.
Yeah, because I didn't do that. Like, look, I'm not gonna waste your food. I don't want it. I'm picky.
I was thirsty and it was cold.
I'm the second picky girl travels.
Yeah.
I am picky. I'm not drinking that. No, thank you. It might be rude, but it's more rude
I
to
was
waste
trying to
their.
not be rude and I was thirsty, but I was not expecting what I got.
Yeah. Anyway, but we sat in folks' homes. We talked to them. We heard about their lives, right? This is what travelers do. And from that, I have a whole different perspective on what Black folks, talking about South Africa, what Black folks and colored folks are hoping and dreaming for, and why they had not come together at that point. I think that's changing with what we saw the last time we were there. They realize they have more in common than not. They've gotten over some of the divide and conquer that the conquerors imposed upon them. But the books don't tell us all. The books don't tell us all. And sitting there, be it in Sanla's house or in other folks' houses, sitting there talking to them, talking to mom, talking to grandma, talking to the daughters of the elders, and all of that totally changed our perspective. Totally. Right? I mean, can you put a price on that?
No, you can't. You really can't.
Right? And I think they learned from us too. They learned that all Black folks who come to Africa ain't rich.
Yeah, they learned that we're not all boys in the hood.
Right? And we're not all boys in the hood. Yeah, exactly. As opposed to tourists. What do tourists do?
Tourists often focus on relaxation,
We know.
entertainment. They want to be entertained, which we all want to be entertained. But it might not provide the same opportunities for learning and personal growth.
Well, to me, there's only so many beaches in my ties.
That's true.
Right? I mean, until it just gets boring. Right? So number 6, and then we have number 7, and then we'll get to your questions, and we're gonna let you go. So number 6,
promoting positive representation.
Positive representation. So this is kind of like combating stereotypes, but combating stereotypes is the emphasis is on the negative. Promoting positive representation is an emphasis on the positive. And so African American travelers can serve as ambassadors for our culture, right? Promoting positive representation and breaking down barriers of misunderstanding and prejudice. Now, it is not our job. What we are not saying is that it is our job to go around the planet and teach people why they shouldn't be racists. That's not what we're saying.
No.
What we are saying is that if we find ourselves in opportunities and we put ourselves in situations where we are communicating, breaking bread, spending time, or just experiencing life with local communities, that is our time to break down their misunderstandings. Some of you have heard about the situation that some folks face in China, right? They're not used to seeing us. They want to touch our hair. They want to take pictures. Some of them view us as zoo animals, et cetera, et cetera. What that is a lack of exposure and understanding and racism, right? It is not my job to teach them not to be racist, but it is my job to those folks who are willing to learn and experience about who we really are and who really want to know. And we've got some of these folks who are tuned into our channel here in Portugal, right? Tuned into our channel, Portuguese folks who don't look like us, who want to understand what our experience is all about.
Yeah.
Those people, those are the people that we can get and promote a positive representation, right? Through our engagement, we can help foster a greater community of inclusivity and appreciation. Moreover, moving to another country and supporting the locals from the African diaspora strengthens all of us. All right, that strengthens all of us.
Yeah.
A colonized mind is global. If you have gotten beyond that, then be the light amongst the other colonized minds, as opposed to tourists.
Tourists might not actively engage in efforts to change perceptions. You know, their mind's not their own. Or they, promote inclusivity.
Right, right. Because if you are just about self, if you are just about getting that IG picture, if you are just about saying, I was there and okay, check that off the list. Now, next place, right? If that's what it's all about, then you've missed the point. You really have missed the point. I mean, it's lovely to see all of these places that you've learned about, heard about, saw in movies, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to say it's not. When we first saw the Colosseum, remember we saw it. Wait, is that that's the Col? We're walking down the street and we see the Colosseum. Oh my God.
It just popped up all of a sudden.
Right? It was just there, right?
It was just there. It's like, oh my God.
I'm not going to tell you that's not cool. I am not going to tell you that's not cool. It was cool. We did the tourist thing. But at the same time, we tried to get an Airbnb that was owned by a local, right? We tried to go to local restaurants, etc., not the chains, not the ones that we see everywhere, etc. Right? We did what we knew to do at the time to experience what it might feel like living as a Black person in Italy, and at the same time go see the Colosseum. So we're not saying don't go see the Colosseum. That is not what we're saying. But what we are saying is it shouldn't just be about the IG pictures and the IG spots, the Instagram pictures and the Instagram spots.
The opportunity to make a positive impact.
Exactly.
Do not miss that opportunity.
Exactly. I mean, our lives are so different. Not just because of whatever impact we might have had on other folks, but more importantly to me, the positive impact that all of those folks have had on us. Yeah. They have made our lives richer. Ways. Yeah. I mean, I hope I'm having a positive impact, but I'm going to tell you, opening ourselves up and not just sticking to, the tourist plan, the safe spaces, and when I say safe, I don't mean I mean the tried and true, not safe as in you might end up dead. Right? Just remaining in those places. We've done that before, and every place starts to seem kind of the same when you do that, and we didn't even talk about that. A museum is a museum is a museum. 800-year-old cathedral is an 800-year-old cathedral, no matter where you go. And I can mention stuff from the continent as well. Like it can all blend in together after a while. And now, if you've not traveled a lot, and this is still part of your dream, you might say, "Yeah, Lisa, whatever. Let me see it. Let me experience that for myself." Mm-hmm. Granted, but it does get old, and so the thing that makes travel different for us is really trying to experience the culture, and that's the thing, because the culture here in Portugal and the rest of Western Europe is not necessarily the same. It is not the same. I was talking to a lady today, and the lady who gave me my massage, and she had worked in England for a long time, like 7 years. So she spoke English, and she's saying, I never appreciated my country until I lived in London. And now I can appreciate the lifestyle that we have here. And I'm like, yeah, there's something magical about Portugal that is not necessarily true in the rest of Western Europe. And so, but you won't know that if you just do the tourist stuff. Yeah. Right.
And a lot of people I've talked to all say that there's something magical about Portugal.
Yeah, there is.
And it truly is.
There is. And look, for those of you who want to move to London, to England, it's still better than the United States. the work-life balance is not as good as other parts of Europe, but it's so much better than the United States. The people that I know who moved from the United States to England were like, "Ah." The people that we know born and raised in England who move here are like, "Ah." And they're like, there was just no work-life balance. I'm like, baby, you don't know. There was some work-life balance in comparison to what we had to deal with, right? Because I've heard from too many Americans who get transferred to England and like, okay, these people know how to live.
Right.
Right? So it's all relative. It is all relative. Last but not least, number 7,
enhanced travel experience.
Right. Often we seek out unique and authentic experiences leading to richer and more memorable travel moments. So, for instance, one of the first things that we did when we came here to Portugal was take the African Lisbon tour by Naki. You can find that in Airbnb experiences. No, we don't get paid to say this. He's just one of our buddies, and the tour is amazing. And so, that let us know, a lot about the history of this country that we were wanting to move to. No preconceived notions. We didn't move here with blinders on. We knew what the deal was. But this was a tour that is not necessarily a mainstream tour, but was so, so good. So, so good. And so that really, and even speaking to a baby girl whose dad is Nigerian and she's Spanish, but she went to school here. She took the tour, even though she had been here for 4 years for school. And it was interesting just talking to her and hearing her experiences being another person from the diaspora. Her father was from the diaspora, and how she views African Americans. So it allows for a deeper connection with people, right?
Oh yeah.
Deeper connection. And this person has imprinted my life forever. Naki is still in our lives, so we see him all the time. So he's continuing to impress our lives, as opposed to tourists who
frequently have more superficial experiences.
Yep.
Period.
The end.
They focus on popular attractions.
It's kind of like when we were on a cruise, right? And we would do excursions with people. And it would seem like there was a little bit of a connection during the excursion. And then we get back on the boat and we never see him again.
Yeah. I mean, just like the wine tour in South Africa, and met some fun people. Once you get in that room and you're gelling and, you're pretty much spending the day together.
Yeah. And none of them were American.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, it was still superficial. It was, so wine tour, touristy thing to do, right? This is what we're not saying is don't enjoy yourself and only be thinking about cultural things or things that are related to being Black and stuff like that. What we're saying is we are not colonizers. And so we should not move through spaces as if we were. Tourists seem to have an assumption that they were invited into the house. And so, please me, why isn't this like this? Why isn't that like that? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Right? Like you were invited there, and then, folks invited you to dinner and then didn't provide no dinner. That's how tourists act. And we see it. We see it when we travel, right? All of this privilege coming out, right? Privilege coming out. And not just from Americans, from tourists in general. It's why aren't they speaking English? Why aren't they speaking German? Why aren't they speaking whatever your native language is, right? Why aren't they speaking that? It's that attitude. Yeah. It's that attitude. And that attitude closes your mind off to the reality that, one, we are so much the same, and at the same time, we're so different. Right? Tourists look at those at folks in the places that live where they travel as the other, whereas travelers look at them as fellow human beings to learn from, and to appreciate their differences. And that is the difference. We want all of you to be travelers because not only does it lead to a richer experience, but you can help the folks that are still back in the States who have this very monolithic view of the world.
Short-sighted.
Right? These are the people who are staying and fighting, the people who say they need to stay and fight, but don't know what they're fighting for because they ain't been nowhere. Or they were in the military and they only saw it through the eyes of being in the military bubble. Right? What are you all talking about? Let's answer some questions. And then what we are hoping is that you will join us in either bopping around the world and being a traveler, or you are thinking about moving abroad. Either way, you have got to get your money straight. If you are a late bloomer like we were, we have the course for you, which is Beyond the Bling, which is our financial education course for late bloomers. This will get you to financial independence if you do the work. I hear you, Greta. I hear you. I hope people are listening because folks be tripping out there. I ain't gonna vote. That's my state. I'm making a statement. I ain't gonna. The only statement you making is that you're an idiot. You're gonna let other people take away your voice. The only statement that you're making is that the blood, sweat, and tears that our parents, not ancestors, our parents and grandparents fought for, your right to vote, you're like, F them. I don't care about them. I don't care about that blood they bled. Everybody's jacked up. We'll see how that works out for you. We will see how that works out for you. All right. CK. All right, let's answer some of these questions. Tell me more, Jess. What is the Great Reset? And if it has anything to do with the other side, of course women aren't a part of it. Their place is at home or making stupid statements like Marjorie Taylor Greene. All right? That's what their role is, to be idiots or to be at home pregnant in the kitchen doing what they man says do. Not doing what their partner says do, doing what they man says do. I heard one project proponent say that the US is a WASP-centric country. It seems to me that the project is a path to that. I can't remember if it was Rush Limbaugh or somebody like that who said that the other side is trying to take the power away from heterosexual white Christian males. And the person he was talking to was a presidential candidate who said, I can't remember if it was Mitt Romney or McCain, but it was one of them. They're not being secretive about what the deal is, folks. They're not being secretive. And the reason why we're talking about travel versus being a tourist is because so many of the folks who look like us are afraid to even consider a move outside of the United States. So let's first start with being a traveler as opposed to getting on that cruise ship. Nothing wrong with cruises. We like cruises. Nothing wrong with cruises. But getting on that cruise ship, going to a couple of Caribbean islands talking about you are an international traveler when you ain't spent no time with those folks. You got off the boat, you did the tour, you went on the excursion, or you got the map of where all the places you could buy jewelry at a discount that the right, buy an overpriced jewelry, right? Like you did the thing right there, and then you get back on the boat talking about them people, but you don't even know those people. You don't know how they live. You don't know any of that stuff, right? So my thoughts on leaving the US is bye, Felicia. What are your thoughts about how to find Blackness in a country which may not have a Black African community, but that the country speaks to your soul? Is this important? It's always going to be important to me because I was raised by Malcolm X and Sister Soldier. I told you all that, right? And Portugal is Portugal. And one would not think that Portugal has a lot of Black folks, but it does. There are Black folks all over the world, all over the world. There might not be as many as there are here, but you have to think about the fact that there was a movement to move to Russia back during the 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? There was a movement. And so, and maybe even earlier than that. And so those people, whoever moved, some of those folks just stayed and generation. And I say that to say, even in a place like cold Russia, we're there. In Scandinavia, they were having problems with African immigrants or the immigration in general, but they mentioned African immigrants. So we're there, right? Like we are everywhere. And I think, I want to commune with local folks, and some of those local folks happen to look like me here in Portugal. But if I were moving to a place like, say, Sweden, I would still seek out Black-owned businesses and things like that. I would also try to get my Airbnb, get my rental or something like that from a Swede, not from a corporation, not from some investors, some investor class type people who have come into the country to invest or something like that and have bought up a bunch of stuff, right? Sweden is a rich country, richer than Portugal, so they don't really need that type, in which we wouldn't immigrate there. But I'm using that as an example. I cannot think of a country where we don't exist. I can't think of a country where we don't exist.
We're there somewhere.
And so if the country speaks to your soul, live there and also seek out us, folks from the diaspora, right? If you feel so led to, and see how you can commune, not only with them, but with the local folks as well, right? With the local folks as well. We all have folks from the African diaspora that live around the world have a very unique experience from other folks.
Well, that too. And also, if it's speaking to your soul, it might speak to a lot of other people's soul too. They just don't know about it yet. So sometimes it takes that one person to say, hey, I'm here.
That's right.
You need to check this out.
You need to check this out. You need to check this
Folks
out.
will come.
As a Black man, I've always felt safer outside of the US, with the exception of Alaska. And that's a place I wanted to go to until Sarah Palin. She ruined it. And after that, I was like, that's what they produce. I ain't interested.
I've been to Alaska, and
I know you have.
really, really enjoyed Alaska.
I know.
Alaska's a beautiful place. Could I live there? No, because it's cold. I mean, but it was nice in the spring and summer.
Yeah, but it stays dark half the year. No.
It depends on where you are.
No, even if the days are like between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., no, because 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. is too short for me. So you make it shorter than that, and I'm going to be depressed. I'm not interested. But I have wanted to visit until Sarah Palin, and then I took it off the list.
Hell, does she even still live there?
I don't know. Get your passports and money right, and your go bag. Just be ready, y'all. If you don't know what a go bag is, Google it. Google it. Yes, we built it, but it wasn't built for us. That part. Yeah, we built it. We built what they said to build for them, right? Regardless of whether it is the economic system because they got free labor, or whether it is physical edifices like the White House. It was not built for us. The rules were not put in place to ensure our let me hide that, to ensure our Right. They were not. They were not. And so, all right, let's start that. And TW says, do you respect the US flag? Absolutely not. The best answer I've ever heard was, I respect the US flag to the same degree that the US flag respects me. It's a flag.
It's cloth. It's what's supposed to be behind the flag.
I respect the idea of America. I respect from many, there is one, right? I respect the idea of the Constitution. Unfortunately, they were not thinking about us. And when you get to the fact that, yeah, okay, you've got these laws, but the laws are meted out by human beings, right? Human beings, you can create all the laws that you want, but you cannot legislate a change of heart. You cannot legislate morality. You just can't. And so you can change the laws, but that don't mean Billy Bob is going to change his mind about how he feels about me. So when they were all up in arms about folks kneeling and all of that stuff, and oh, you got to respect the national anthem that became the national anthem what, last century? Who cares? Y'all are killing people, and you put more emphasis on a song and a piece of cloth than you do human lives. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I ain't getting
Do they
started.
still do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag in Congress and stuff when they open their sessions?
I'm sure they do.
Because they lying.
I'm sure they do.
They're lying.
They are lying.
They're lying. If they can bring a knucklehead like 45 in who doesn't care about anything but him,
He's the narcissist.
I mean, that's a lie.
Right?
To stand up there and
Yeah.
say those words and what they're supposed to mean,
They're lying.
lying.
They're lying. They're lying. They're lying. They do not pledge allegiance to any flag. They're not pledging the allegiance to the United States
They're
of
pledging
America.
allegiance to him.
To him.
That's it.
And his ideas, and bump everything else. Seriously.
Nothing else matters. I pledge allegiance to Knucklehead.
He's about to say knuckle nuts, y'all. That's what he's about to say. So yeah, America's never been fixed for POC. It never has, right? Like it was created off of the backs of Native Americans, right? Off of their genocide, and then built on our backs for some fake aristocracy who were pissed off that they weren't aristocracy in Britain, and they got shipped over as thieves and the scoundrels that they were. Those are the founders of the United States of America, that Christian nation and all of that. Look, y'all, don't get me started. Do not get me started. Love t-shirts. All right. Happy things. My sister gave a toast at our going away party and congratulated us for seeking the warmth of another sun in reference to Miss Wilkinson's book. I loved that. That is wonderful. The Warmth of Another Sun is about the Great Migration from the South up to the North. This is the next Great Migration, y'all. The next Great Migration is not from the South to the North, but is out of the United States to other parts of the globe. Don't get left behind. Do not want to be that person who turns around and wonders why folks are being hauled off to concentration camps. Do I sound like paranoid? It like 30 years ago, I probably would have sounded paranoid. But today, these fools are crazy.
No, it's what's going on is what's going on. And
these fools are crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, and what people are preparing themselves for, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, stop and think. You hear the chatter about civil war and stuff like that. What is civil war? What is civil war?
In 2024, in America, not civil war in, I'm trying to think of a small country that really hasn't established. I can't even think of one. I can't. Well, Venezuela needs a civil war.
So, I mean, who's the common enemy? Who's the common enemy? Got to have an enemy.
The other
Each
side.
each side has to have an enemy,
We're the enemy.
but
In this next civil
you're
war,
American.
are we?
Well, no, I'm not talking about us, but I'm just saying that Americans against Americans fight each other, are going at each other.
That's what they did back in 1860, whatever. Well, ended in
Yeah, but
64.
because one side was trying to get rid of slavery, and the other side wasn't. They wasn't having it. They didn't want to get rid of it. They wanted to continue on.
One side wanted more money from slavery,
Okay.
and the other side said no. Neither side wanted to get rid of slavery. Don't believe that. Don't believe that.
Well,
they didn't care about us. They did not care about us. Otherwise, they would have done more to ensure that we were actually free. So let's just call a spade a spade. It was all about economics. If the South would have paid more taxes, if they would have shared some of the benefits of that free labor, because there wasn't free labor in the industrial North, right? No free labor in the industrial North, but in the agricultural South, they got free labor. Well, they paid for us once, and then once they start breeding folks, they had free labor. It was all about the money, y'all. It was all about the money. So what will the fight be about this time? Because there is no free labor.
No.
It'll be about it. To me, it will be about those who think that America is for folks, for everybody, and those who think that America are for wasps. That's what I think. That's what I think. I don't know. So patches. You want patches? That's what you want? So I saw t-shirts. I saw patches. I don't know if I've seen patches in the distributor that we use. I don't know. I'll have to look. Is Project
20 be
2020?
embroidered, right?
Yeah, these are embroidered.
Yeah.
Is Project 2025 an opportunity to create our own school that really educates? No, CK, no. Look, any policy by 45 and his ilk is never for us. Don't get it twisted. Just like charter schools. Oh, that's for us so that we can. No, that's how they sell it. So that they can siphon money out of our neighborhoods and put them in other places. Anything that 45 and his ilk have planned is never, ever, ever going to benefit us as a community. No. Now, it might benefit some individuals, but it's not going to benefit us as a community. So, no. Okay. My mother-in-law is Nigerian, and she told me all Black women have attitudes and are lazy. Yeah. Holly, you were the person we were talking about. I was shocked up until I thought we were the same. You are the person who told us that. Girlfriend, you remember that conversation that we had? How easy is it for Black Americans to travel around the U.S. and feel comfortable to be tourists and or travelers touring around their own country and learn about their own country? That part. You remember there used to be the Black Book, right? The Black Travel Book or something like that.
The Green Book.
Oh, the Green Book. That's right. But it's the Green Book for Black folks, right? Yeah. I guess the Black Book was like for guys and their girls. Yeah, anyway, anyway, right? Like even today, I would not feel comfortable taking a road trip through the Deep South. Would you?
I've done it.
I know you've done it, but with a bunch of other males.
It don't make no difference.
A gun is a gun.
Yeah, and you're Deep South. Tell that to the people that were on the bus.
So why did you do it?
I really wasn't worried about that. And had places to be, things to do. Would I do it now? Probably not. I haven't been down south in a while. So, I mean, deep South.
I wouldn't do it. I never would do it. I never have done it and won't do it. I won't do it. It is not safe for Black folks to travel through certain areas of their country of their birth,
But they got
not
that.
simply because of the color of our skin. It is not safe.
They still got. They have it still in North America too, in Northern America also. It's not just the South.
No, it's not. I said certain parts of our country. Did I say just the South? No, certain parts of our
I didn't
country.
want them to think that we were just
Yeah,
talking
no.
about the South.
Mm-mm. I was told that the first year of retirement that it's best to have no plan so that you are open and available to explore. Is the same true when you slow travel or move to a new country? Best laid plans. And we didn't have any plans per se. And I think we need that first year everything was so new that every day was an adventure,
Yeah.
right? And so from that standpoint, I would say yes. And even when we travel, like we just got back from Aveiro, up north, and we had no plans. Like we're going to be there, and then we're going to see what happens. That's how we roll um, because one, we don't know how the weather is going to be. It changes all the time, right? And okay, yeah, I just answered that one. So let's undo that one. So we don't know how the weather's going to be. We don't know how we're going to feel, et cetera, et cetera. So I tend not to make plans until we get there to the place. But as far as retirement goes, especially when you are moving out of the country, moving abroad, yeah, I think that's pretty sound advice. What do you think, sweetheart?
Yeah, I do. I do. Not,
Not what.
I mean, not to, have any heavy plans. You got to do what you got to do, get yourself situated. But other than that,
Yeah.
don't plan on try to, investigate and see all of Europe in a week.
You will drive yourself
You'll drive
crazy.
yourself crazy. You're here. You'll, enjoy getting yourself settled here and then venture out and do different things.
Exactly. And the other thing about that is that there is such a learning curve. I don't care unless you are an avid traveler. Um, if you're an avid traveler, then you might already know how to work the the
Oh, yeah.
appliances and stuff like that. However, when it comes to residency, um, it's a whole new system. It is a whole new system. I gotta start that. It is a whole new system. And so you kind of feel like you are a toddler all over again because, how to work the dishwasher, how to work the wash machine, you know, where, like, I remember asking, where could we go get a key made? Simple stuff like
Yeah.
that. You are
Especially
learning
because you
all
get
over
weird
again.
keys. You get keys and stuff that you've never seen before in your life. It's like, this is a weird key.
Yeah.
Who is going
Yeah,
to
we
make
still use skeleton keys here, y'all. Look
I,
at this.
I don't have the apartment key on me, but it's so weird looking.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did it cut this?
I know, but they can make those skeleton keys too. All of the doors have those skeleton keys. It's a trip. Like so, so even that kind of stuff is all new, and so you're busy trying to figure out the systems, trying to figure out how to just do life. And so, yeah, trying to pack too much into it is always going to be
It's
not good fun.
overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming. It really, really can. All right, let's go back. So Adelia says they're making it illegal to protest and to boycott.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I saw something about that on one of the news feeds I was watching. Yeah, they want to make it harder for people to do that.
The right to free speech is in the Constitution of the United States of America. It is in the Constitution.
Yeah, but
Okay?
Yeah,
Checks and balances.
yeah, but
Checks and
if
balances.
you got somebody in position that don't give a shit about the Constitution, and he has control over the Justice Department
And the
and the
Senate
Supreme
and the
Court
Congress.
and all this kind of stuff, and they vote his way because that's what they're meant to do, all that stuff goes away.
Who you elect locally will be future Congress people. Every single election counts. The dumb ass biatch who said in Texas, the state rep, who said you can't get pregnant from a rape because there's rape kits. Her dumb behind could end up in Congress making laws.
Scary.
Like my dog knows that that's not true, but this dumb woman was actually elected. Actually elected. Whites often say, ask us the flag question to shut us down. I don't know who asked that question. Was it UTW who just asked it at arbitration? Look, I don't care. I do not care. I do not care. I know who I am. I know what we have fought for, and there's no way that anybody from the power structure of the United States is going to say anything to make me change my mind about this. We know who you are. We know what you're about. And we're tired, and we're not putting up with it anymore. We're just not. We're just not. We're just not. So, good luck. We all have to find a like-minded tribe like OBU, yes, and Blacks and Global, of course, etc. Yes, 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 yes. We found a new family here. We really, really have. Really, Love Park. I didn't know that they were still saying the Pledge of Allegiance in grade school. I know we had to say it when I was a kid. My area made national news when someone put up a trunk flag at the post office.
Yeah, see, these people have lost their minds. They've lost their minds. And then stand up and be
Thank
the
you,
first one to
Chanel.
say I'm a patriot.
Right? I pledge of allegiance to the United States of Trump. If he has his way, that's what it's going to be. The United States of
Yeah, and
Trump.
it's like, and he thinks all the people that all he thinks all of the people that gave their lives in the military, that are in the military, serving the military, are suckers. He said it. Oh, a bunch of suckers, bunch of losers.
That sounds like my family members,
That's what he said.
right?
And
What can you say? Thank you, Chanel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If all of the founding fathers owned slaves, how could they have possibly tried to create a society that would treat Black folks like whole people? Exactly.
right.
Exactly, Jazzy D, right? Like exactly. And I understand that we are taught to basically worship the founding fathers. I understand that. But I also understand that it is our responsibility to keep reading. Don't just stop with that book. Keep reading. Keep reading, right? I don't trust adults that don't own books. I don't trust adults that don't read because they end up being boo-boo the fool. Who would have ever thought the USA would permanently separate children from parents with juvie court rulings? Well, they started that a long time ago, CK. They started that a long time ago, right? So when it was against the law for us to loiter, right? They said my grandparents, my great grandfather and his brother were loitering, and they put them in prison. In prison at 14 and 16 years old. Prison, work camps. all right, working in the mines. They literally fought their way out. They were boxers and made enough money to buy their own freedom. This is the United States, just last century. We're not talking about a long time ago. We're talking about the 40s and 50s. And that boxing, my grandfather took a hit to the head that left him blind. So the United States of America is the cause for my grandfather being blind, my great grandfather being blind, because it was state sanctioned terrorism. Two kids walking down the street. Oh, we need some more people to build this road over here. So just go collect up some black folks. And they got collected up in the sweep in the United States of America just last century. We're not talking about ancestors, guys. We're not talking about ancient history. If it could happen then, it can happen now. Comanche concentration camp is now a state park in Colorado. Concentration camps are not new to the U.S. No.
Ask the Japanese.
And well, not just the Japanese, the Italians too. There was an Italian concentration camp up on the border of Colorado and Wyoming. Why Italians? Read your history books, babe. Read your history books if you don't know. So they had the Japanese on the Colorado side, is what I read, and the Italians on the Wyoming side, but it was right there on the border. They try to act like it was just Germany. No, it was not. No, it was not. All right. It can get old history. I mean, in my humble opinion, never gets old. Museums, cathedrals are a 1,000-year-old country, never going to get old. Then again, I absolutely love history. I do too, Pinky. I do too. And that can't be all of it for me, right? Like that can't be all of it. There has to be something more than just observing. I need to learn more. Like, so when we were in, where were we? Where we saw the Cathedral of Skulls.
Evra.
So when we were in Evra, we went to a preserved cathedral that had the walls were literally made of skulls and bones. And we could have just left it right there. And I would have walked away talking about heathens, right? Devil worshippers or whatever, right? That's what I would have walked away with had I not done some more research, because we didn't plan it. So we didn't do a tour or anything like that. And I don't think they had an audio tour with them. So, but there was a tour guide that I happened to listen to. And so to understand, not to just take pictures and do the IG thing, right? But to understand what the Cathedral of Bones was really truly about, in the whole scope of Christian history was interesting. It was very interesting, because today what they would have said was that's witchcraft. Today what they would have said is that's paganism. But so yeah, definitely very interesting. I was told that the first shift retired. Okay, we read that. Professor LCH, how you doing, Professor? That's a great way to describe it, Halisi. The way tourists act as if they are guests to be entertained. Exactly, right? Simply because they paid money, especially in places they're visiting that seem to need money. That's not who we are. We do not walk around as colonizers, right, folks? That's not how we respect the local culture. We act like we got some home training. And when we say we are guests, like that doesn't mean guests to be served. That means guests to show your home training, right? You show up with something in your hand. You don't show up with nothing in your hand when they serving dinner, right? You help straighten up. At the end of the entertainment, you help straighten up. You don't just sit back and say, you got that, right? Right? we got home training. We know how to act, right? But yeah, tourists, they walk in like, I paid money. These people don't care that you paid. Did you had a plane fare that brought you there? They do not care. Where is the Wednesday breakfast meetup restaurant? We'd like to join when we arrive in 1.5 weeks. Jazzy D, send us an email. hello@ourblackutopia.com. hello@ourblackutopia.com is at Portuguesa Pandaria in Saldanha, but there's probably about 3 or 4 of them. So send us an email. 3 or 4 just in Saldanha because yeah, it is hot. Because the Portuguesa Pandaria is actually a chain and they're everywhere. They are everywhere. So, like I said, there's probably 2, 3, or 4 in Saldanha. Can you please put the tour information in the description? I can, but I don't know which tour. If it's Naki's tour, we definitely will. African Lisbon tour. The host is Naki, Naky. We did a live with him. Gosh,
It's been a while.
June 2022. June 2022. But I will put the information in the description below. If you are watching from the future, hey there.
Hey.
The information is probably already down there. All right. Let me write this down. Naki info. All right. He's always promoting us. So I definitely want to do him a solid. And the tour is good. Been seriously reconsidering residency in Portugal for slow bopping around, which was my original plan. I will still be able to enjoy Portugal. Yeah. Exactly. You know, the only thing, Pinky, the only thing about slow bopping around, and this is for everybody who just wants to be nomadic. At the very least, try and get residency in Mexico. I'm looking for another opportunity to get residency in another country. Not that we don't like Portugal, not that we want to move from Portugal. I want options. And I don't know how this next election is going to go. And I don't know how this is going to change the geopolitical atmosphere over here in Europe. We have residency in Mexico. We have residency here. I want a third, maybe a fourth, maybe a fifth, if I can find any other place that will allow us to get residency without having to put in a certain amount of time. Adelia, I know you're looking too. If you know some places, let us know. Let a sister know. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Let a sister know.
I got a few thoughts, but
yeah, so you do?
I ain't going to say anything right now.
Okay, well, you're going to have to tell me after this. So yeah, Pinky, get residency somewhere before you can't get it. That's the thing. That's what I'm concerned about. You know, obviously it's not going to be Portugal if you want to bop around, but get residency somewhere else besides the home country, right? Did you apply for permanent residency in Portugal and Mexico at the same time? So Portugal does not give permanent residency right off unless you do a golden visa, which now is just the golden visa only includes starting a business for the most part. So we have temporary residency in Portugal, permanent residency in Mexico, and yes, I did it at the same time. Would I do it that way all over again? If I had a choice, no. No. But if we were still in the circumstances that we were in back then, yes. It was a pain. It was hiccupy. I was stressed the hell out, y'all. I was. But it worked out. We got it done, and praise God for that. Is the Black folk I see you nod limited to Black America? Yes. Yes, it is, CK. No, you didn't experience it in Lisboa because they don't do that here.
They don't do that.
They don't do that in
Very,
they don't do. I haven't seen that anywhere else.
Very few Africans will do it, and usually they're younger. That might be that I've done it not because I do that all the time. It's just a natural thing for me. I see a brother and I give him the nod, and then sometimes you get looks like,
"Oh."
So it's like I got to remember.
I don't know you.
But I'm gonna still give the nod.
I do too. And usually the women, I will say "boa tarde," And sometimes they don't answer, and sometimes they do. Um, I understand, it is my understanding that in some African cultures, it is rude to speak to strangers. It's rude to look people in the eyes. I don't know if that's true or not. Let me know in the chat if you've known this, or in the comments if you're watching from the future. Hey. But this is what I have heard from other folks here who, apparently heard it from some Africans. This is why they don't do it. I don't know. I still do it. I still do it. Can you give us the info for the tour? Okay, so I would like to go all there. Yeah, I will put that in the description below. CL Burt for the group. Do Africans consider themselves as Black? Understand that all people from different countries or continents who share our pigmentation do not think of themselves as Black. True.
They think of themselves as African.
They think of themselves as Black around us. And I say that to say, we say, they're like, thank you for the support. And we say, we want to support businesses owned by people who look like us. That's how I put it, who look like us. And I have yet to get a negative response to that. And so, no, they don't necessarily call themselves Black. But they know what I mean when I say folks who look like us.
Yeah.
They know what I mean. They know.
But I've never heard any of Africans refer to themselves as Black.
Yeah, we have South Africans, because the white folks labeled them Black and labeled them colored.
Well, yeah.
Right? Me and mine are planning to bop around Southeast Asia. Congratulations, Tracy. We're happy for you. There is a rich history of Afro-Asians, yes, throughout. We want to commune with the Thai, Malaysians, Philippines, and Singapore. Absolutely. They are all in Africa. We are there. And they're right next to each other, so to speak. So, like I said, we're everywhere, y'all. We are everywhere. How did you find rentals from locals? So, for Airbnb, you can look to see if they've got, like, if that host has a lot of condos, apartments, or something on Airbnb, then they probably are representing a corporation. If there's only one or two, there's a good chance they're local. Also look at the name, right? But really, that's what I do. I look to see what else they are hosting. And if they've got a lot of stuff, I'm like, and then it's all in the same building. No. And then as far as apartments go, we were looking at apartments that were listed by the owner. So it was important to me, especially after hearing some of the nightmares from some of the folks who were renting from folks who were investors, who just came here, bought an apartment, and they're back wherever they are. They're back in France, they're back in Dubai, they're back in Russia, wherever they are, right? And they couldn't care less. And stuff breaks, and 3 months later, it's still broken. No. So, as y'all know, our landlord is right next door. It's a Portuguese family. They've owned this apartment for, I think, since the inception of it in the 50s. And we know that our rent is going to help the locals. So that's how we did that. The fight has always been about the money. It always follow the money, right? Okay. So LJ, you put at Jess, and then you put questions. So yes, Black Utopia travel patches as a merch. Okay. And then perhaps a Blacks at Global travel patch. Uh-oh, Krishan. Uh-oh. Here we go. Okay. We are going to wrap this up because we are getting off topic now. The Green Book. Yes. The Green Book is an app, Adelia? Insidia.
Wow.
Insidia. I wonder, I guess the same family doesn't own it anymore.
That's trippy. I'm going to download that.
Okay, so possibly says Ghana is the best place to live after retirement. I think the best place to live after retirement is exactly where you want to live, where your happy place is. Possibly we are, I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. Welcome, because I don't recognize your name. Welcome, welcome. We are so happy if you are in Ghana right now living your best life. Would you agree that the founding fathers were the leaders of a criminal enterprise called that part? That part, right?
What's the Green Book? So the Green Book was put together for Black travelers
In the United States.
in the United States traveling through the South to let you know the best places to stay, what sundown towns are. I don't know if you know what sundown towns are. It's places where being Black you didn't want to be caught in
After sundown.
after sundown. But it was just showing Black travelers where they could stay, where they could eat, where just different things like that, so they wouldn't get caught up not knowing and be somewhere they shouldn't be.
Exactly. Exactly. And I don't think it was just for the South. It was for all of the United
It
States.
was for all United States, but it was really pressed upon in the South because people travel
Because of Jim Crow. Because of Jim Crow, right? Like, so, the notion that we could just stop at any Hilton or any bed and breakfast was just that, a notion. It was not, they had the right to say no. When you are
Yeah,
traveling,
most of the times you didn't stay at hotels. You stayed at somebody's rooming house, or you stayed with a family.
yeah. So
And the Green Book would give you that information.
exactly.
Who had a house and would rent a room to you or whatever, because you wasn't staying at a hotel.
Tourists tend to stay for a short amount of time. It's the typical American experience of a week, right? I don't know how many people come here on a scouting trip all the way over here for a week. For a week. Travelers tend to stay for longer periods of time. So to me, there's something magical about 3 weeks. 3 weeks away. Like, if you need a break, 1 week is to like, 2 weeks, you're like, okay. 3 weeks is like, finally, you're then you got to go back to work. But if you are trying to experience something, I still think that there's something magical about 3 weeks, in that the first week you're still trying to get initiated to the place. Second week you're getting your feet, you're exploring, you're learning, etc. And then by week 3 you're starting to feel comfortable and starting to feel like home. So I think there's something magical about 3 weeks. All right, y'all. It's always been illegal. What's always been illegal? People have been arrested, killed, jailed, and called communists for decades simply for exercising their right to protest. Nothing new, just increasingly aggressive. It has never been illegal. It's just how they decide to interpret the law and interpret what you're doing. If you are if they say your being here and protesting is endangering somebody, then it becomes illegal, right? Right? Otherwise, boys will be boys. Traveling through the U.S. can be dangerous because of sundown towns that still exist, right? We were just talking about that. Folks still disappear from time to time. They do. Not from time to time, too many times. Too many times. Exactly. America has been separating children from their parents for years. I told you about my grandparents. Yes, they were taking away Native American kids, especially biracial Native American kids, from their families. Just like the Yarboroughs have said, there will be a huge Blaxit within 10 years. I believe it. I hope so. I hope so. Thank you, Professor. Hit that like button if you find this information interesting. If we have added to the conversation, please hit that like button. We're going to answer the last few questions here, and then we're going to let you go because we are at 2 hours, y'all. I'm tired. I was tired. I love residency in Portugal, but the housing thing. I'm working with someone, but I feel like we're not communicating well. Send us an email. We might have somebody else for you. hello@ourblackutopia.com. We just stayed the weekend at someone's house. You guys saw us last week in Coimbra.
Mhm.
They're paying what we're paying, and they have twice the space in Coimbra. So the housing thing, you got to be patient, but it's not hopeless. Reunited, and it feels so good. Hola from Mazatlan. Hey there, servant teacher Nikki. My husband and daughter finally joined me here after being separated for
All right.
6 months. We are so happy for you, Nikki. I'm just telling you, American millennial males don't do the nod. My son does the nod.
Wow.
Jabari does the nod. I don't know about these other
The
folks.
nod is fading away.
I don't know about these other folk, but
I'm always doing that.
You can see it. So we had someone video walking us through these apartments, and we asked about, do you see mold? Um, I I don't know anyone who's really dealing with this problem. I heard about it a lot before we moved here. I know one person that had a mold issue, and she moved,
Mhm.
and that's it.
Yeah.
The kind of apartments that Americans want, they're updated and stuff like that, and so you're not going to find that like you would if you were. It's a global app. Oh, it's global now. You're not going to find the mold in the apartments that you would probably want to rent. All right, be careful. I'm not sure who owns the Green Book app. Oh, the movie had nothing to do. I don't know what the movie. All right. Today is election day here in Mexico, and we were strongly advised to stay in the house due to the potential of violence.
Really?
In Mazatlan, huh? Interesting.
Really? They're set to have their first female woman president.
Oh, that's interesting.
The two top running mates are not running mates. Two top candidates are women.
Oh, okay. All right. Get down, Mexico. Here they are getting ready for the election for the EU. So every country that is a member of the EU gets to vote, I guess, for the EU power structure. And so we see signs everywhere here talking about get ready, make sure that you vote in June. June is now for the elections in the EU. And then the primaries are happening in Colorado. Y'all vote, 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 vote. But just to reiterate, if you need help moving abroad, if you need help getting your money straight, if you need help figuring out a 1-year travel plan or something like that, y'all, information is in the description below. Book a call. If you want to move to Portugal, we have partnered with Blacks at Global, not only for the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit 2023, but also for 2024, as well as the meetup that is happening in 15 days. Oh my God, 15 days. If you're going to be here during June 17th and you'd like to come to our Freedom Celebration, that information is in the description below. And with that, what else?
South Africa had their elections.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, the ANC didn't do all that great.
I'm not surprised.
I think 40% of the vote. They were still waiting for the count to finish.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised because they have allowed nonsense to happen. They've allowed for those blackouts. They've been in power, and so they are to blame for those blackouts. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. 37 Mexican candidates throughout the country have been assassinated.
Yeah, I read that too.
What? Okay. All right. Okay. I'm not going to read stuff just in abstraction. So I need more information. I'm going to get more information. you do your own Googles and learn what is going on in our third home country. And with that, we will see you on Thursday. We love you and see ya.
See ya.